My thanks to Joel Klatt for joining us here on the number one ranked show. As you can tell, Joel is passionate about the game of football, the X's and O's of football, the chess grandmaster of it all, in that he is able to diagnose what is happening in real time and help us become better educated football fans. And I know if you're as hardcore about it as I am, you absolutely were eating up what Joel was dishing out. Okay, now let me predict for you USFL Coach of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and yes, Most Valuable Player, for which we might have some surprises here. Okay, so off the rip, USFL Coach of the Year, which will be announced Wednesday of this week, June 22nd. Shout out to my sister. It is also her birthday. I think that that's just going to go to Skip Holtz. And I hate to just say it like that, but it has been one of the better coaching, well, my goodness, seasons, I would say, of his career, in that he started off this year 8-0 before they took their first loss in a game that they could have won. But also he's been able to do it with two different quarterbacks. He's done it with new running backs. He's done it with different defenders. He's lost his primary defenders. He's brought some of his better linebackers, and he's been coaching them up on the sidelines. He's been enthusiastic about this season, and he's been coaching the hometown team, which came with some added pressure that we didn't really know about until we got to the regular season. With the first game, they're playing the New Jersey Generals, and you are seeing it's not just that it's nearly a full house. It's that most of the folks that are there are here to see the Birmingham Stallions. Shout out to Skip Holtz, who put together a great team and a great season, and good luck to them in the USFL playoffs. Okay, next on the list, USFL Offensive Player of the Year. That, I think, is probably going to go to New Jersey Generals running back Darius Victor. He had 9 rushing TDs through week 9. No one else had more than 3. He had been really the guy that they'd been able to anchor the defense around and ride him out as they were going back and forth between two quarterbacks at New Jersey, right? They also had been looking for a person that could get them that short yardage. And one of the things that Mike Riley had said to open the season was that he would be really just confused if they weren't able to run the ball well. So as much as this award is probably, for me, going to Darius Victor, it's also going to his offensive line, which has been outstanding against some really stout defenses. And quiet as it's kept, the Generals have been playing outstanding football since they opened the season. As a matter of fact, they probably should have and could have beat the Birmingham Stallions and been undefeated had they not suffered that loss. They're also the first team to punch a ticket to the USFL playoffs. Now that I think about it, if they really want to dice it up, maybe they'll look at Mike Riley instead of Skip Holtz, but I still think it's really difficult to overstate just what Skip was able to accomplish for Birmingham, and certainly what Darius Victor has meant to the New Jersey Generals in as far as Offensive Player of the Year. Now, USFL Defensive Player of the Year, I think you had a couple of different candidates you could have gone with here, right? Channing Stribling, Philadelphia Stars, leads the league in interceptions with 6. He has become his own no-fly zone for them, really shutting down one side of the football field. For the Houston Gamblers, you had defensive end Chris Odom, who went into the week leading the league in sacks with 11. Through like 9 weeks, he had 11 still, and I don't think he had a sack in his outing against the Birmingham Stallions, but he had meant quite a bit to this league, as well as the Gamblers themselves. Gerard Fernandez also comes to mind for the New Orleans Breakers. He's been outstanding. Vontae Diggs for the New Orleans Breakers. He's been outstanding. Shalom Lawani, safety for the New Jersey Generals. He's been outstanding. I could really look around the defenses at this league and see some outstanding players, but the guy that I believe is going to win it is Donald Payne Jr., linebacker for the Houston Gamblers. He leads the league in tackles. He's the first one to notch 100 in the season, which is no small feat, right? Keep in perspective, the regular season is only 10 weeks long, which means to get to 100 tackles in 10 weeks would mean you have to average better than 10 tackles a game. That dude did that through 9 weeks, which is, again, ridiculous. Just a tackling machine. I mean, put Bobby Boucher on his back. He had been everywhere, running down everything, and more importantly, putting it on the ground. Outstanding football player, and I hope to see that he gets an opportunity to once again make an impact in the NFL. And then my last award to give, USFL Most Valuable Player. I had to really think about this because most valuable player in football is usually a quarterback award. It's really difficult not to give it to a quarterback because it is a singular position and it's an important position. But I gave some thought to Darius Victor. I gave some thought to what Bo Scarborough meant to the Birmingham Stallions. I gave some thought to Kyle Sloter, but he's just thrown more interceptions than he has touchdown passes, and it's really difficult to give a quarterback that award. I looked at some wide receivers like Victor Bolden, who has a ton of targets. I looked at dudes like, my goodness, Darius Shepard and what he has meant quietly to the New Jersey Generals. There were lots of candidates out there, which also speaks to the parity across this league, is that this wasn't an easy award for me to even give. And I settled on J.M.R. Smith, quarterback for the Birmingham Stallions. The reason I did this is I'm looking at, okay, who has been the best team for most of the season? Okay, that's the Stallions. Usually you're going to have to be the best player on the best team. Okay. You could have gone with DeMarcus Gates here, I think, or even Scooby Wright for his energy and what he provides. Man, I just had a hard time getting past what J.M.R. Smith has meant to the Stallions, especially in light of Alex McGough going down early, trying to come back, going down again. If you don't have J.M.R. Smith on that team, who already understands what Skip Holtz wants in his offense and what he wants out of his quarterback, and you have him to be your backstop and then be your starter first by default and then by necessity and then by absolutely winning the job, you don't get to be the Birmingham Stallions, right? You have to have a quarterback that can threaten that defense through the pass, but also with his legs. That's no shade to Alex McGough, who's actually quite swift, so swift that they lined him up at slot receiver a couple times, and I was excited to see that. But if you don't have J.M.R. Smith, I don't think you have the Birmingham Stallions being the 1 seed in the South for the better part of the year, being the best team in the league, and what he meant to them from the jump, coming in late to win their week 1 game, to what he has meant to them throughout the season, his ability to stay steady, his ability to do what his head coach asked, to be an extension of what Skip Holtz desires from his football team. I don't think there's another player that comes close to that dynamic for a coach. I also think that I could take away a bunch of players from different teams and still come back to J.M.R. Smith because of what he has meant to them and, quite honestly, to the city of Birmingham in this inaugural season where they have been kind enough to host the United States Football League all year. They would be my most valuable player had I been able to award fans for what they have done and what they meant to this league. But I got to give it to a player. I'm giving it to one of their own, and I'm giving it to who I think is the most important and most valuable player for the Birmingham Stallions. Thanks for watching this video, and remember, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos on the #1 ranked show YouTube channel.